And this open Niners minus 2.5 immediately. Chiefs money, bam, 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 coming in on Kansas City. So this is really early on. But just your initial thoughts of a matchup that pits certainly the best team in the NFC that we've seen all season and a Chiefs team that is in the middle of trying to build a dynasty.
I tell you what makes me nervous, betting against Patrick Mahomes as an underdog.
Yeah.
Don't think I'll be doing that. Now he improves to 10-1-1 against the spread as an underdog in his career. So I don't know if I'll be doing that. Maybe there's another play in this game that I'll like better, but here's my question. How far does this line have to move for you to consider the other side? Or were you already on the other side of the Niners here?
Well, here's what I think. I wonder if the Niners are going to be the right side because I feel like everyone is going to be on the Chiefs. You know how it goes. When everyone is on one side, then you have to take a hard look at the other side. And I feel like based on what we saw against the Ravens, what we've seen from the Chiefs over the past 2 weeks, because Patrick Mahomes is so amazing as an underdog, because the Niners will have all the pressure with Kyle Shanahan, who has been close but hasn't won it all. The Chiefs have all of the experience. Money is coming in on the Chiefs. I mean, you can make a case for the Chiefs just off the top of your head without going into the numbers immediately and just bet on the Chiefs, which is what people did as soon as this number came out. I also think that, at some point, you might get the Niners at a plus number, and I'm not kidding. I'll be curious to see if this actually stays with San Francisco being a favorite or if the Chiefs become a favorite at some point. I don't know. I do know that everyone this morning is waking up and saying the Chiefs are going to win again.
Yeah. I think an important lesson in betting is if you are truly torn on something, don't bet on it. It doesn't matter if it's the Super Bowl. It doesn't matter if it's a daily game. If you cannot pick a side, which I know we're going to have to, but right now this feels like a toss-up to me because, the Chiefs are the hotter team going in. They have looked really good in the postseason, but they still have some flaws to them. Like, look at their depth at receiver. It is still a very shallow pool. So I think that we could see one of those receivers making those boneheaded plays, those drops that are just absolutely terrible, and maybe it costs the Chiefs in this game. And you're right. It feels like when you think that one side is the right play, you got to at least give some flowers to the other side or at least consider all possibilities. How about some bets that you might need to make before these lines move is the correct tense. There we go. All right, so I'm looking at Travis Kelce. Anytime touchdown, minus 110. His receiving yard total is 70.5. The thing about props is you got to catch them early because when it comes to like the yardage plays and the big name players, the juice is only going to go up and the yards are only going to go up because everybody likes, betting the over. So I think if you're going to make bets early on in this game, consider some of the props you like.
I will say, and look, it's never really on one player or a head coach, and that's a very simple way of looking at complex outcomes. But I will say there were a couple of calls here, and that was a part of the handicap going in where we thought if Dan Campbell does what we've seen for most of the season, which is be super aggressive, even in spots where maybe he shouldn't or it's obvious he shouldn't, that could be the difference. So he left points on the board here, and I think there were 2 different times when he failed on 3 different attempts to go for it on 4th down. And for me, the most egregious was when the Niners had all of that momentum and you had a chance to just put points on the board, right? Tie this game, slow the momentum of the Niners a little bit and reset because you've got plenty of game left. And instead, you cost yourself twofold. A, you didn't tie the game, and then B, immediately you keep that Niners momentum going. So, again, it's not just on Dan Campbell, but coaching is clearly a huge part of the NFL, particularly in big moments like this, and that came back to bite them.
Yeah, for sure. I know that this is kind of what you get when you have a head coach because you get to this point because of his aggressiveness and because of his personality. But the same side of the coin, you score 7 points total in the second half. And, one of those was kind of in garbage time. So it just felt like a Lions team that kind of crumbled down the stretch as well. They had some big plays. The offense certainly continued to chug in the second half, but they just couldn't put points on the board. So some of it's Dan Campbell, but some of it's also the team and also the defense in the second half. Obviously, when you give up 27 points in a second half, the defense deserves some of the blame as well. But like you said, for the second straight week, San Francisco skates by with a big come from behind win. This is not something that I thought San Francisco was built to do, play from behind. But, here they are now sitting with their ticket punched to the Super Bowl.
And isn't it about time that we finally gave some credit to Brock Purdy? I mean, it was time weeks ago. But in 2 straight seasons, he has led his team to the NFC Championship game, got injured, didn't get to play in that game, essentially. And then now the Niners are back in the Super Bowl. I don't know what in the world you want else to see from Brock Purdy where you say, all right, this guy's really good. So he was good with his arm, no question about that. Protected the football last night, had a touchdown pass. But also he was very good on the ground, had a scramble in that game that was really crucial for the Niners in the second half. So even if you listen to the Niners after the game, they'll tell you, this guy's our leader. Nobody doubts him. He gets criticism that isn't warranted all the time for no damn good reason, just outside of the fact that he's Mr. Irrelevant. I guarantee you, had Brock Purdy been drafted in the first or second round, this narrative would not exist. But people still just can't get over the fact that, this guy was drafted late. And they say, the Niners have weapons. All those things are true. But they would not be this far without Brock Purdy. So good on him for, in a massive spot, having to lead his team from behind. It's time to acknowledge how beneficial and how very good he is as an NFL quarterback. I'll tell you the one play that I thought that is perfectly how this game has gone for the Ravens. And it was late in the game when, of course, there had been a penalty on Baltimore. It's that final drive for the Chiefs, right? And the Chiefs have a 1st and 5. So they decided, since the clock was stopped, let's have Roquan Smith on purpose, like jump off sides here. And then what it'll do is it'll reset without the clock running at all. It'll be a 1st and 10 instead of a 1st and 5. The problem is when they had him jump off sides on purpose, he bowled over the offensive lineman, so they were like, personal foul. And it was smart to say, pin the Chiefs back a little bit or make it 1st and 10 because that'll make it more difficult for them to get a first down here. You run out of timeouts. But don't do it where you cause a personal foul. You can walk across the line without just absolutely giving someone a shot to the face or a shot to the body, whatever. So even when they were trying to be smart, they just couldn't do it.
Yeah. How about we talk about the winners for a quick sec? Travis Kelce, my goodness, have we awakened a beast? He looks like the old Travis Kelce with, all of the bells and whistles and the gumption and the fire. He was talking trash on the sidelines, but this is not a duo that I would want to run into right now. And that's what the Niners will be facing in the Super Bowl.